broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Grey's Anatomy family. It is so good to see you guys. We are here with the recap for Season 12, Episode 7, Something Against You. And let me say, I have nothing against you guys. I'm Julie Partin.
Hi, Julie, and hello, everybody. I'm Marisa Serafini.
I'm glad we don't have anything against
No
each
bad
other.
blood.
Yeah.
I'm Jay Howard, and it's good to see y'all.
Yeah, and if you guys want to keep up with the conversation live, hashtag ABTVGraves. And otherwise, let's get to it. This is the last episode before the winter finale, which is now a giant thing.
Ooh.
And to me, this episode did not disappoint. Like, I feel like I've been saying that, and Grey's Anatomy to me has a stride where I like it to be, and it's in that zone.
So this was in the zone.
This was in the zone for
What
me,
what
yeah.
made this in the zone for you?
The episodes that I love have interesting patient stories.
Mm-hmm.
The character arcs drive a little. I laugh. I get emotionally attached to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ever a big fan of the ones that are super extreme and things blow up, or
Those are my
entire groups of
favorite.
people die or get shot. So yeah, this was. I mean, I know it wasn't the most exciting thing that ever happened on television, but I enjoyed myself.
I mean, I enjoyed this episode when, there were fun stories, serious stories, and then, realistic stories that just, in the workforce and society that they really touched on in a very good way. And it was, nothing negative about it. It was all positive. And I felt like it opened eyes in two different perspectives of the world, and they handled it very delicately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think in this episode, what was cool was they did two things that were cool. They actually moved the characters' storylines forward in multiple storylines, which I appreciate, because sometimes that's my only thing with Grey. Sometimes it seems like they don't actually move the storylines forward, and I think the past few episodes they have done that, and they did do that in this episode, which is why I thought it was really good. And in addition to that, they brought up some really cool conversations, which I'm sure we're gonna have quite a lot to talk about here on this episode about racism and white privilege and that whole conversation.
Oh,
Yeah.
joy. So glad we have that on our plate tonight.
I know.
But no, you're right. I mean, that's what's awesome about this show, is that it could be 12 years old and still be so relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And they have good writers. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
So carrying over from last week, Penny was the focus of the whole episode,
Mm-hmm.
and Riggs came in.
Mm-hmm.
And those two characters were still big. And the newcomers are not doing very well at Grey's this season or recently.
Do any newcomers usually do really well? I feel like that's kind of like a theme, is they come in and you got to get the crap kicked out of you first for a little while, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a newcomer that just blew everyone's socks away, and not really,
Right, and I think that's...
Maybe McSteamy, but none of them knew his secret.
Maybe, yeah, and I think that's just the stigma of anybody who's new on this show, that we're already conditioned as the audience members to automatically dislike whoever's new because we can't trust them. We don't know who they are, their backstories. It's hard to even think of, like you were saying, one person that came in and was so cool, we were like, yeah, this person's awesome, they can stay here. And I can't really think of anyone except for Teddy. I loved Teddy and her entrance, saving a patient. That was amazing.
But that's was the whole theme of the episode, right? Like the bias when Meredith her little monologue at the end when she was talking about bias and the things we kind of automatically feel. That's basically what this is, right?
I guess you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something against you. And the thing that Meredith has against Penny was that she thinks that Penny played a part in killing Derek, so that's something.
Mm-hmm.
But Meredith decided to keep her close, to keep her out of trouble.
And it was interesting, she said, what was it she said? It was something like, I'm going to keep her on a short leash at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of interesting because you think about, I think she was trying to basically say, I'm going to keep her on a short leash professionally and make sure she doesn't kill anybody, even though I don't think Penny's going to kill anybody. I think she's probably just fine. But I'm going to keep her on a short leash professionally, doctrinally, medicinally, if I may. But I'm going to keep her at a distance emotionally and relationally, right?
Medicinally is a word.
Thank you. Yeah. Just wanted to see if you guys would catch that. So good job. Congratulations.
Well, I don't really care one way or the other about how Meredith treats Penny in this. I mean, Callie's getting involved. And I guess the big moment that came out of this was that Callie was sticking up for Penny. And Penny's finally like, Callie, you're embarrassing me. Shut up. But then stood up for herself.
Mm-hmm. And that's what was frustrating. I love Callie and I love her character. She's amazing. It got frustrating to the point where Callie was the one who had to speak up for Penny, not Penny. So again, it doesn't show the audience that Penny is a strong character in and of herself because she can't even stand up for herself. It took a whole nother person to speak for her.
Well, she did finally.
She did at the end.
Finally, but that was through someone else because someone else gave her the courage. She didn't do it firsthand.
Yeah. And Meredith's hair looks adorable, by the way. Man,
she was all braided up.
She can pull off anything besides last week's cheerleader top pony. But other
You're
than
still
that,
talking about the top knot Meredith.
I was about to brag on her hair, and then I remembered last week and was embarrassed again. So this was like something that has been a long time coming. Jackson asked out April.
That was so sad.
Why was that sad? It ended up great.
Well, it was cool at first, and then you find out, he said, so that I can talk to her. Oh, cool. About divorce. And divorce.
He doesn't really want a divorce. He doesn't.
I don't want him to get a divorce.
He would have asked for it by now. He's still mad. All of these feelings that he is feeling are stemming from his anger that she left.
So there's a difference between, it's like when your parents say, like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. He's saying, I don't hate you, I'm just mad. It's like that.
He's saying, we're done, I hate you, we're over. But he doesn't mean any of it. He's just still mad.
So my metaphor didn't really apply in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
No. I agree, Julie, because if
you just took it in a weird place, Jay, because that was about parents, and this is love.
I was trying to be relatable to the audience, but
I agree with you, Julie, because if he was just straight up mad, he would have had someone else serve the papers to. Already,
he still loves her.
And
no, I think he is straight up mad.
But if it was to the point where he just wanted to straight up divorce her,
right,
he would have had someone else serve the papers like in a very rude way. You know how we see that in television.
There are much colder ways.
To the point that now he's taking her to a nice dinner. That seems like way too nice. So I think again he's not angry that he wants a divorce. He's just upset and disappointed.
He cares way too much about her because he took her out for pumpkin ravioli. And if he actually wanted a divorce, it would have happened weeks ago.
What is, like,
Jay, it's amazing.
Like what?
That's specific.
I thought that was her punishment. That sounds weird.
No, it's wonderful. It's weird to me that you haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
It is good. I just made it a few weeks ago.
Oh man, were you about to ask your husband for a divorce?
No, I made it because I love him. Okay. Just like Jackson.
It all comes around.
So they have this date and it's cute. I mean, I guess they said they didn't say anything or whatever, but she looks pretty, he looks hot, and they just enjoyed each other's company, and conveniently the conversation never arose.
And they still enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah. Well,
practically, how does that work out? You sit through an entire meal and it's like, well, we got through the whole meal without talking. I was just kind of like, okay, what'd you do the whole time then? You just ate in silence?
Maybe
you didn't talk about anything?
They either ate in silence or they had surface level conversations like, this pumpkin ravioli
is divine.
I love the lemon in this water.
But she did get called away, so we actually know how far into that dinner they were, though?
They had just finished it, I think.
They had finished their entree. Okay. We sure as heck know that.
They're at least 75% there. Yeah, okay. So she gets called away, and so Bailey apparently is like withholding from her husband until he kicks this other dude out of the house.
I loved her line. It's like, you don't get it until you get it.
You don't get
Just lock the door.
You don't get
Just lock the door.
Until you get it.
You know what, people? Sex is never a weapon. It's never a bargaining tool.
You should tell Bailey that. I'm gonna tweet at her.
It works for her though.
It did, because Ben goes up to him and he's like, Jackson, I need to have sex with my wife. You got to get it out. And Jackson's like, say no more. Elevator's closed, you know?
At least she's being straight. At least she's being straight with him, you know? I mean...
Bro.
But,
That was endearing.
But then, like, we can just jump to the end because this was crazy and wonderful, but... Apparently, those two tried to have the divorce talk and instead ended up in bed together.
Yes. Yes.
So
reconciliation.
I don't think this is full-on reconciliation. I think this is like
it'll lead
just
to it.
Them admitting to each other, or at least him admitting to her, like, yes, there's still something between us.
You just need to be a believer. This is the beginning of something beautiful.
Jay,
I promise you.
I know they're getting back together.
I promise you.
I know.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's as simple. I don't think the reconciliation already happened.
Love is that simple.
I
Love
think
and
this
pumpkin
will
ravioli.
be an ongoing thing between them. They're gonna just keep hooking up to the point where, like, no, I don't want to divorce you anymore.
Yeah, they're just like spouses with benefits, which is spouses.
Spouses.
So we have Riggs get hired on to the hospital.
Seemed kind of quick. Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of came out of nowhere.
Didn't he have stuff he was doing before? Was he actively job searching when he came here?
And it was convenient how he was just available. And like, and I loved how even Owen brings up the facts, like, don't you have a vetting process for every employee you hire here?
Okay, so I don't
was like, true, because Miranda Bailey just hired Penny along with Weber as well. But
seriously.
like, and you didn't do the background check and realize that she was from there. And then, I mean, in you doing the background process for especially a vet, you think you would put two and two together. Oh, it's like, oh, Owen's a vet. They worked in the same place.
Okay, maybe you can answer this question. We were talking about this when we watched the episode. Did Bailey give a reason why she hired him? I don't recall. I don't remember her saying specifically why she did.
He was good, had good credits, and he was available.
Okay, so there's no real reason.
Did they really need somebody? Did they need another cardio surgeon?
We were talking. I didn't know if we missed something or something like that because it just seems kind of weird. I don't know. It seems like I feel like there's probably an ulterior motive there of why she hired him, right?
I don't think so. I think she's just
forgot to tell Maggie.
I think Bailey's like, I see talented surgeons, I bring them on my staff. End of story. You know?
Yeah, I'm the chief.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something fishy's going on there.
Well, this entire character is fishy because he still doesn't have a definitive accent.
Still.
Mm-hmm. And
jury's still out on that one, Julie.
And I wasn't the only one who noticed it. I read lots of different reviews from last week, and other people were like, yeah, that was shady, get it together.
Well, people were tweeting at us also. If you guys don't use the ABTV hashtag, that's the hashtag we use if you want to talk to us about this episode on Twitter. But people were tweeting at us this week basically saying, yeah, we don't know what the heck the accent was going on with the accent either. So we're not alone. Something's going on.
Absolutely not.
And they addressed it in the episode too, didn't they?
I don't remember.
They were talking about, he mentioned something about like, yeah, your first part that you're wrong about is that I'm Australian or something. He mentioned it briefly in
New Zealand. He's from New Zealand.
If I had an opportunity to complain about any one huge thing this episode is that we didn't even find out what Owen's issue is with Riggs.
I know.
Like that was billed at what we were going to find out. Like I wanted to know now though.
That's winter season finale worthy though.
And so Owen is so upset that they've brought this guy on staff. He has like a PTSD episode alone in a dark room.
He does. That was scary.
And his face looked crazy.
He
looked crazy. Those shadows, like, jeez, man.
And this was a reminder to me of Jason J. Carter, who brought up the fact that Owen choked Christina every after show for 3 years. Yes, Jason, I let that moment live on your behalf. But yeah, he really was about to choke Blondie too.
I'd be cool with that. If that kid like went, I'd be like, all right, I guess it's cool, whatever.
I don't know what was up. I don't know what caused it. I don't know why him staring in a room did it. We haven't seen anything like this from Owen in seasons.
Side note, he's a good actor. Just stuff like that always reminds me. He's a great actor. Those quick little PTSD scenes.
He's not good. My favorite.
Really? I like him.
I just feel like he's not subtle enough. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like he's got so much intensity.
That's the thing to me is that I feel like the intensity is too far to be a realistic person.
Okay.
He's just always kind of like twitchy and grunty and stuff. See, that's
you don't know what he went through in his life.
You know, you could go through something in your life and still have normal human mannerisms, and that's like I guess I feel like he just I don't know. I don't think he's a bad actor or anything. I just don't think that about him constantly. But so Riggs comes in, and Owen is not the only person who has a giant problem with him. So does Maggie.
Yes, and I mean, but Maggie's is in fairness too, because granted, she's the chief of cardio, and she didn't even know that someone else was joining her staff. And then to have Riggs take her patient right in front of her, that wasn't cool.
And then the patients were like asking him instead of her what he thought. Well, what do you think? That would make me mad if I were Maggie. So I'm with her on that.
Yeah, and to have exactly, the patient always going to the male. That was the whole story and the inception of why we had the whole white privilege, male privilege storyline, which we'll get into. But it was interesting how immediately Riggs just made himself comfortable at the hospital.
Yeah, he seems like somebody that takes what he thinks is his, whether it's other people's wives or other people's patients. Yeah, he doesn't seem like somebody with like lots of manners.
Yes.
But so Maggie's very frustrated because she thinks all of this comes from him being a man.
Well, so that's what is interesting. They played with the race aspect and then the gender aspect as well. And I don't know were they trying to tease both of those out, or was there one they were trying to...
Yeah, well, no. First she was talking about the man thing with her sisters and Alex, about how they've all been there and they've all experienced this in the workplace. And Alex is like, oh, not me. Meredith says, oh, we trained you. It was subtle.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's the thing. And then she's like, the other thing. Like, she almost didn't even want to talk about it. But Amelia's like, up. What other thing? She's like, the other thing. Amelia's like, that's the thing? Here? And to be real with you guys, that's the viewpoint that I take on this issue a lot of times. Especially living in LA and working in the diverse cultures and living in the diverse cultures that we do. It's just kind of a melting pot. And to me, it's sometimes like, that's a thing? Even here?
You're saying that it's still prevalent.
It's still a thing.
No, I'm saying that a lot of times, like, the white privilege approach is early. That's still a thing. Like, just a couple of weeks ago, somebody on our show was like, how come you guys didn't approach the race issue between Stephanie and Joe? And I'm like, I don't know, probably because it's a non-issue.
Right.
But I guess just that's me thinking that it is, because it's not something I deal with.
Well, and I think that goes to, when Maggie and Amelia were talking, and they kind of had their little 5-minute long scene about white privilege and stuff. I actually really appreciated that scene.
I did too.
I thought it was like very well done. I thought it was very intelligently stated. And she said, and this is kind of what you're talking about, she talked about like, hey, sometimes racism is in your face and it's really loud and it's obnoxious. And then she said, sometimes it's low buzz. It's a low buzz. And it's like, man, okay, so I think a lot of the loud, obnoxious racism that we see, we're able to kind of call that out pretty easily. And I think that that's not usually in most areas of our country is not accepted, but the low buzz, that like low drum of racism is stuff that I think people who were born with white privilege we just don't see it.
Yeah, it's not in our face. We don't deal with it, and we don't honestly physically see it happen to many of our black friends. We just like, and let me be super clear. I'm not saying that it's not an issue. I'm just saying I could see why Amelia would feel that way. Like, really? So then she goes up to Stephanie, and she's like, did you think that I chose her side because you're black? And Stephanie's like, no. Crossed my mind, but no. And so that's when Amelia went up to Stephanie, and she's like, I might have been racist. That actually made me laugh. She's like, this is a weird day. I might have been racist.
Right.
And they had that conversation. Maggie's like, I'm not the spokesperson for black people.
Yeah.
And she's like, she said you were good, right? Don't make her do extra work to make you feel good about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that scene is just very well put, and it's obviously Shonda and all the writers combined, like, taking their voice and putting it through Maggie, and it was extremely elegant and well put.
Well, and I think, one of the reasons that I appreciated that scene so much and this episode so much is because as a white guy who cares about these issues but sometimes is just blind to them, sometimes it's just like, I just didn't see it, I don't, I missed it, I don't understand, it's scenes like that are encouraging, because it's artists and it's thought leaders telling us like, hey, like, it is a low buzz. And she said, when you recognize your white privilege, check yourself, and fix it, and then keep moving on, and like realize that we don't hate you, we're not judging you constantly, like you're gonna mess up and that's okay, just keep trying to get better and move on. And I'm like, okay, that is how this issue should be handled, I feel like, you know?
Yeah. I feel like as much as possible it should be handled exactly the way that those two characters did. With honesty, with frankness, without mincing words. Like, she didn't try to use metaphors. She didn't try to disguise how she was feeling. She just laid it flat out, and it was like a truth bomb. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about it online. Grey's Anatomy drops truth bomb on white privilege. And that in itself seems like something scary that you want to read, or that you don't want to read, or that you don't want to watch. But whenever you actually see the quote, you understand that, no, it's just a fantastic insight into what some people are dealing with that you aren't.
Right, and it doesn't matter that it does matter that it happened, but it matters that, like, how they deal with it. And I think especially just the writing and how they, portrayed it on the show, there was no better way to do it than the way they did it. And it was done delicately and efficiently to the point where everyone can just understand across the board.
And at the end of the day, what was cool is it happened that conversation happened between two friends, and that's it happened between two characters that love each other and want the best for each other. And so it's like kind of happened in this safe space where both of them are trying to understand the other one and get better. And that's encouraging. Just, to see, once again, the artists and the thought leaders communicate those ideas in that way to the audience.
Yeah. And I like the character growth within both of them, because we see Amelia, a lot of times she tends to make it about herself, but at least at this moment she realized something and then she wants to better herself. So I felt there was growth in both of them.
Yeah, I would agree. And it makes me think, I really love Maggie, and she just has a way of putting things, and truth, she's sometimes so weird. Like, I'm an alien and I don't fit in this Battlestar Galactica, right? But at least she's always thinking, At least Maggie has an approach to conversations that not everybody will take.
Yeah.
So way to go, Grey's Anatomy. And
I'm proud of you.
I have just read this quote before by Shonda, and a lot of people talk about how she broke through the glass ceiling that was above, female showrunners and black female showrunners particularly. And she talks about how it wasn't her that broke through it. It was all the women for decades before her who had pounded against it and started the cracks. And she just happened to finally be the one that pushed through. And so she's very inspiring to, cool. Everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so back to the Grey's Anatomy episode after a little bit of seriousness.
Yes.
The patient stories tonight were fun and funny, I guess. We had this one guy, Mr. Jaffe, who...
Jeffy or Jaffe?
Jaffe.
Jaffe?
Jaffe.
Yeah, Jaffe.
J-A-F-F.
Simon Jaffe.
It doesn't matter that
Why?
much.
It matters to me. I want to fix it in my notes.
What do you do with these notes later?
I frame them.
Mr. Jaffe had a super rare blood type. And here's what I would love from you guys, is that for somehow all three of us on the panel missed the specific blood type, but I'm very into this. I've done a lot of research.
You came in and you were like...
I was like...
What blood type did they say? I was like, I don't know, Julie. You're like, are you sure? And you're like Googling it. I'm like, why? Like, why does it matter?
It's very important to pregnant women, okay? Blood type is huge in pregnancy.
Here we go.
It is. It affects a lot of different things. Anyway, I was very curious about it. I know a lot about blood types now, and I would love to know what type he is. So if somebody could tweet me at Julie Partin or use our hashtag ABTVGrays, comments, just let me know, okay? That's all. Anyway, he has such a rare blood type that he can't get a transplant.
A kidney transplant, yes. And so he comes in and he's wearing his hat that his wife... I knew there was something.
You knew something.
I was like, there's something underneath that hat.
He's not letting that go.
I knew it, and then he took it off, and then there's that.
Big
I feel like these things are getting grosser and grosser.
No, they've always been
the
nasty.
hands
Oh
were,
man,
the kids' hands last episode was still.
That was bad. That got me.
But it was also the very same approach.
He had the freaking tumor.
Show the audience what is it.
And so he had this tumor, which might make him ineligible now for this transplant that he finally got. This holy grail of a patient.
Yeah, holy grail.
Yeah.
Well, it was also because, if something, what was it, 6 antigen mass, whatever, is that like all these different things just perfectly lined up to the point that he was now a viable candidate.
6 antigen. What did you say?
Somewhere.
Did you just go medical on me?
6 antigen mass.
Please explain.
You said that real confidently. I was like,
I 6 antigen mass.
I don't know.
Dr. Serafini.
I think it was
I misspelled Jaffe.
Different. So he has a renal disease, this patient, and he needs a kidney, and I think everything just lined up somehow. Antigens lined up within him that he was able.
Question: was it the 6 antigens?
It might have been the 6 antigens lined up that he was able to get. He was able to get a kidney now.
But
I'm
there
proud to be
was
sitting
to be
next
a
to you,
match.
to someone this smart.
There was a big moment in there where Joe's like, blah blah blah, the Holy Grail, and Penny's like, can we not call him that?
Yeah, I felt weird about it too. I was like, this. I mean, he's a.
Well, it showed. Penny that was a Derek issue.
Yeah.
She's like, he's somebody's everything. He's somebody's father. He's somebody's spouse. Let's just not call him that.
Yeah. Thanks,
And,
Penny.
I mean, it was good on her for maybe because she just lost someone so dear to everybody that it sparked that within her, be like, this is a human being we're dealing with. So I did like that from her.
They need to joke. I get that. They get to, like, doctors and nurses have to joke about this kind of thing, or they just get way too serious in their job and their life sucks. But every once in a while, it's good to have a moment where somebody's like, hold up, this is the life here.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe's like, yeah, he's everything. He's everything. He's everything! He's everything! Skull transplant time!
It seems like very often these doctors just, like, if you repeat something, you'll, like, figure it all out.
Basically, that was the entire premise of the show House. Through external conversations, he's like, figured it out. There always was a...
Do you think I could do that in, like, traffic? Like, I'm just, like, sitting in traffic and I'm like, traffic.
Traffic!
And I, like, figure out how to get out of it.
As far as traffic is concerned, Jade, no one wins.
No one, not in LA.
The only person who can get around Los Angeles traffic is Obama, and he does it by screwing over the rest of the town.
He causes the traffic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, they decide to do a skull transplant, and it's been done before once, but they're not scared.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that didn't seem like that's that unique of a...
No, I mean,
skull transplant? I don't know. I feel like it's probably
seemed
happened
like,
before.
it makes sense because he's a perfect match organ-wise. I'm sure he's a physical match.
No, I agree with you, Jay. It seems
that
like
seemed a little too easy.
Why would that?
Like,
be
I feel
such
like I
a
could
rare
do it, you know?
procedure?
I mean, I don't want to be overly confident, but I'm pretty sure I could.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I wouldn't be so surprised by that. But then that was the surgery that Penny's like, no, I need to be in there. I don't need to be watching the kidney for legs. And it ended up being successful.
Mm-hmm. From Mr. Jaffe.
Mr. Jaffe got a new kidney and a new head. And they're all in the break room later chatting it up. And she's like, yeah, he had tons of grandkids. And Joe's like, he had 7. This was my patient and you stole him.
She got intense real quick.
She did. I didn't even realize she was pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally knew. Because I wrote down somewhere, it's like, oh, she's making it all about herself. Which, in fairness, because they started his whole patient case with Wilson. She was the first one who knew. And the whole audience knew that she's been with him for years. And the fact that, yes, she didn't actually get that win in the end because that was technically her patient, I think rightfully so. Joe has the right to be pissed.
Wasn't she the one joking about the Holy Grail stuff, though?
She was excited.
It's like you're joking about it and she got like...
But it wasn't in a derogatory way. She was excited because this has been her patient for so many years. And the fact that she wasn't the one who got to operate on him, yeah.
It just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know. It just seemed kind of strange.
She made it about herself.
I didn't know Joe was pissed at all.
And so now is there supposed to be a conflict between Joe and Penny?
Basically, nobody likes Penny except Stephanie. That was a funny moment to me because, Callie too. And Arizona probably.
Not for learning to fight now. Not for long.
But so there was this moment there where Joe gets off and gets mad. And Penny looks at Stephanie like, what did I do? And Stephanie's like, brush it off, girls drama.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And you want to get a drink? Yeah, I do. So I guess they bonded. They had a friend.
Thankfully.
They had a friend moment in there.
But no, Callie and Penny, there's so many freaking characters on this show now. I can't even it takes me a while to process. Callie and Penny are in a fight now, right?
Kinney. Hashtag Kinney. That should be their couple name.
Oh, Kinney.
Kenny.
Hashtag it.
Or Pally. Pally. Pally Kinney Pally. Either works. I like either. But
Penally.
I don't think they're in a fight.
Oh, I thought it seemed like she was mad.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think
Penelope.
Oh. Hashtag it.
Anyway,
Penelope.
They weren't mad at each other. They're getting over it.
I think they were just discussing the issues very loudly in the hall. But it was rightfully so from Arizona. I'm sorry, not Arizona, all these names.
See?
Again.
I'm in your head. I'm in your head.
Kelly sticking up for Penny. Again, it was frustrating that Penny wasn't sticking up for herself. It had to be Kelly to be the first one to say something.
Definitely.
But even so with Kelly, it's like, girl, you're awesome, but you shouldn't be sticking your business into that.
I don't know. I don't think Kelly was even doing it because it was her girlfriend. I think Kelly was doing it because
Meredith was being a jerk.
Yeah, Meredith was wrong. But I do want to give a shout out to a couple of people.
Yes.
And these are the people that just episode after episode enhance the viewing experience and bring up all of these different wonderful things that we didn't realize was happening. Deborah Battle, Starlito85, Aussie Queen, Savannah, and then a million numbers after that. Lois Elfman, who, no offense to anybody else, is probably our smartest viewer.
She is. She always has very smart things to say. Sarah rules.
Golly, Miss Molly.
Yeah, I was going to say
Miss
that.
Lolly.
Chelsea, Stoic 504.
TV Nerd 3.
Next Raul.
What Lauren thinks.
Yeah, you guys have some crazy names. Nicole Mania, you made me laugh so hard with this picture that you made.
Love to sail.
Yeah, Radio Silence. You guys just thank you so much. Please continue to with the conversation on hashtag ABTVGrays. What?
I guess I missed that the first time. Nicole Mania's
you just
picture.
saw that funny picture?
Yes, when people are mad about it.
That
fun.
cracked me up.
Yes.
But
you got to go to Twitter to see that. Sorry, that was a little inside joke, but
you can find it
on Twitter.
Give us those comments on
Tweet
YouTube and as well as on iTunes. But back to the most random part of the entire episode. New intern WTF. Who is that baby face?
And he was hooking up with the mom.
I don't remember him at all.
Nope.
Proud of you, man.
At all.
I felt like he's been in at least one episode.
That's what Jay said too. We've seen him before, but win, people, win.
We
He
came in
actually
with
got
DeLuca.
lines. That's the difference. He actually got lines.
I don't know. I don't recognize him at all.
I think he was in with the DeLuca blonde intern
Cheese guy.
group.
Cheese guy.
Cheese guy.
Somewhere I know him as
Well,
Cheese
we don't
guy.
even know his name. What is his name, guys? Somebody
Let's call
tell
him.
me.
He looks like a Robbie.
No, let's call
Robbie.
him Babyface. Let's call him
Babyface,
Babyface
okay.
intern.
Babyface.
And so there's this thing where the mom is a doc knocker, really into docs.
Which is I wonder if that's a real thing in the
amazing.
medical field.
an
If there's
actual
any
term?
doctors out there, tweet at us and let me know if doc knocker is an actual thing.
It's gotta
I
be.
hope it is.
Hashtag doc
it
knocker.
is.
But so Alex said stay away. Apparently he doesn't
A doc knocker.
enough. And this developmentally challenged son who swallowed a lighted up ball, his mom was just like all over this baby face in big statutory rape way.
Totally.
Took it there.
Totally.
And so apparently like her getting all over him made him miss the fact that there was a battery in the toy.
Yeah, like split apart or something. Yeah.
Batteries
Yeah.
in the intestines are a big deal. My dog swallowed one.
Well, yeah,
Really?
and also Weber brought up the whole fact of the acid within it can definitely perfect a bowel, so and that's serious.
And Weber just really continued his trend of wandering around the hospital and giving his 2 cents on whatever he feels like without actually doing anything.
Hey, but at the end when he was in the bar,
Yeah,
with-
this was such a funny scene. It was hilarious because Arizona, look, all three of us suck. Arizona is trying to find a
See?
wingman,
It's
and
difficult.
she's like,
She
hey,
looked good in that bar, by the way.
her
she
hair
was
looked
looking
really,
fresh.
really pretty.
I'm not usually the hair guy, but I was like, okay.
Yeah, she looked
all right.
beautiful.
she was looking for it.
She goes up to Alex and she's like, you want to come to this tonight? It's going to be fun. It's trivia night. And Alex is like, it can either be fun or it can be trivia night. He nailed it. And the chief's like, I love trivia. I'd like to go.
Of course you do, Grandpa Weber.
And what was so funny is they ended up in this bar scene. And remember a couple of weeks ago when I said they were
You
casting
did.
extras for this lesbian
did.
bar scene? And I didn't apply because
this
I
is
have a
it.
giant baby bump. But yeah, this was it. And one of our viewers was like, Julie, the lesbian bar scene is coming up. I will say, it wasn't what I expected. I thought it would be worse. Like the casting
It
implied
wasn't all
they
you
wanted
dreamed it
like
would be?
really They wanted like really, really stereotypical, and it wasn't at all.
Okay.
But Weber's like, oh, let's get to the trivia.
He's like, okay, so you've got history. She's got sports. What do you know about popular culture?
And then Arizona with
Geography.
her gorgeous hair is like, that's not actually why I'm here.
Uh-huh.
I haven't dated in years. I am off my game. And Weber's like, oh, you need a wingman. Another thing I'm great at in addition to trivia. Do you like her? Do you like her? She's like, glasses is cute. Well, sit up straight.
I was like, yeah,
That was great.
get it.
Easily like the last person I would have chose for my wingman, but he rocked it.
Yeah,
did.
He stepped up to the plate.
And you know what? Good for Arizona, because she has just not had a moment like this in a long time. The last major love interest that she had besides Callie was the one she cheated with. And that was just out of a place of desperation and low self-esteem too.
She makes me want to root for her. I feel bad for her.
Why?
I don't know. She just seems like such a nice person. She likes trivia.
She
I
did
don't
not
know.
like
No.
trivia.
She
doesn't
likes
like
trivia.
It was
Jay.
a play.
She likes trivia.
Well,
I love trivia.
I like Arizona. I've never hated Arizona except for whenever she wouldn't shut up about her leg for like 3 or 4 years.
It's like, get over
Right,
it.
that did take a while.
It's
You
really
still have another one.
Look, I know it's really, really hard on an actual person when it happens to them, but on this show, I wanted something different from her, and we're finally getting it.
Yes.
But let's go back to this Riggs Owen thing, because Owen's having a breakdown
There's nothing
about
to talk
it.
about, though.
There is.
yeah, actually, there is.
Meredith.
Meredith.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was pretty BA. I like that line. Yeah.
I did
Don't
love.
put me in my place. I know what I'm doing.
I apologize, sincerely.
So Owen's like losing it and yells at the chief, do you vet anyone here? Do you do any background checks? Do you ask anyone? And Bailey's like, well, no, but she should.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people in the hospital have issues with them, there's good reasons. We wish we knew them, but we don't. So Meredith goes up to Owen. She's like, I promised Christina that I would make sure you didn't get all dark and twisty.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to be like, how about you choke him now and tell him to tell you why we hate this guy? But she's just like, do we hate him?
That was the best. That was the
was
best
amazing.
line of the whole episode. Because I was like,
amazing.
yes, that's what I want for my crew. That's like squad goals right there. It's like, so
Total
do we hate
squad
him,
goals.
like, or do we not? You know?
I put, do we hate him? Awesome.
Yes.
Just awesome.
Be
Be that person. Be Christina's person by extension.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of like that.
You're the person who's like, do we hate him?
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, do we hate him? Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Although I would never
I'll
just...
tweet mean things at him.
I would
Yeah.
never just be like, okay. I would be like, tell me why. Now.
Tell me why.
And so that's it. That's kind of all they say. And then Riggs and Meredith are riding down the elevator together. And there's a spark. There is. What? You
That's-
don't think?
Maybe.
They're the same age. They're both good looking.
Oh,
They're
that-
both single. They
That
can't
passed
help
me
it.
over totally. I didn't get that at
Like,
all.
I didn't.
You think there's a spark?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I do.
Oh.
But not
That
not
whizzed
really.
by me.
Just more so how Meredith
Okay.
Meredith is like, yeah, he's sexy, but I hate him. And he's like, oh yeah, she's like big time here. Her name's on all the stationery.
It
I'd
is
like
the
to
elevator.
Get to know her.
It is the elevator.
In that moment, I don't know. I felt a spark. Sorry,
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
but Meredith, he asks her out, want to grab a drink, and she's like, how do I respond to this? I'm a friend of Owen's.
Nice.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So good.
Yahtzee.
That, you know what? Good for Mare. Good
Yeah.
for Mare.
Proud of her.
I love her in that moment.
Stick to your guns.
Yes.
She's loyal. As fierce as she is sometimes, one of her good qualities that evens that out is that she's very loyal
She
to
is
her
loyal.
friends.
Yes.
And so that pretty much recaps the entire episode. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you guys think?
I would give this episode a 7.
Okay, so
Solid
not
7.
So not high.
Not
your favorite?
that high, but
Seven's so pretty high.
yeah. I mean, but the
Come on.
patient.
7 is not high. If you got a 7 in the
Yeah.
Olympics, you would never make it to the Olympics.
All right.
But if you got a 7 in
This
school,
is the reason why I give
No,
it.
still fired.
No, this is the reason why I give it 7. The the stories were interesting and funny, and yet it still sparked serious conversation, and they handled it beautifully in the show.
That sounds like an 8.
I'm giving it a 7.
Okay, fine.
It's a
Wow.
solid set.
Marissa doesn't give out those numbers easily.
There you
Okay.
go.
What do you think, Jay?
stingy. I was like, my explanation is going to be the exact same one that you gave, but I was going to give it an 8.5. I really liked it. I thought it was great for all those reasons. So I guess you're just a harsh critic.
I
might be.
also was going to give it an 8.5, But
Copycat.
I would say that it would not only did it bring up relevant topics, made me laugh a bunch of times, and moved along some storylines I had really wanted to see moved along. But I forgot they didn't reveal about Riggs. Back to an 8.
Oh,
all right.
Knock it down.
Looks like it got an 8.
They did kind of. It's kind of disappointing they didn't do that.
Yeah, it's a bait.
I'll knock mine down to an 8.3 officially because of that.
There you go.
Well, let us know what you guys rate this, and let's move on to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, next week is the dun 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 winter finale. Only second to the finale in terms of drama, apparently. And they're like, it's the holidays. Yet I didn't see any of them in holiday garb, so we'll see if it actually is.
Who knows?
But we get a punch. We get a big punch from Owen to Riggs.
Ooh, not good.
Predictions, guys?
Oh, about that.
I'll start then.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I really feel like this is the second coming of Jackson and April. I feel like it is what we said it was. I feel like they're just like wanting to get back together, and maybe they're sleeping together and avoiding their issues, but this is just the beginning of them reconciling. And
I support that prediction.
I'm going to force all of us to predict what we think Riggs did.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Riggs made some sort of sacrifice decision that killed a couple of people. Like, he chose this group over this group, or he, like, decided that this group of soldiers had to die over these civilians, or sacrifice some of Owen's men. Something like that. That's my prediction. That's as far as I can go. And I don't see Penny and Callie getting serious. I see them breaking up semi-soon.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
agree with
I
that.
see
And
that.
I'm sorry, guys, but I think Mare and Riggs.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No.
Go for
Okay,
it.
for the Riggs Owen, I think they're yes over what happened between them two. I think there was death. I think maybe Riggs might have been neglectful, which in turn caused deaths. Like, he was supposed to watch his squad or platoon, whatever, and something happened, felt neglectful, and somehow the men suffered.
So I feel like it's probably some kind of combination of what you guys said. I feel like it's something where probably Owen was going to make some decision and Riggs had to overrule him, and it didn't go well. And so I don't know. It's got to be one something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's yes. I think that Riggs had to overrule Owen for some kind of big decision, and people died or something like that.
Yeah, so any other predictions?
I completely agree with you and April and Jackson. They're not going to get a divorce.
Yeah, I never thought they would.
Well, I don't want all our predictions to be the same, but that's my prediction too.
Well, maybe
that's a good
maybe you guys watching feel
Should
differently.
I change mine just to like be different?
No, Jay, because then
okay.
if you're wrong, you will feel like
That's
you sold
true.
yourself out.
That's true.
And I say that Maggie and what's his face, DeLuca.
DeLuca.
That's not going anywhere either.
It's still going.
I think it will. They previewed that, didn't
Yeah,
they?
that's
For
yeah,
next week.
I'm not buying it.
I'm gonna say it's
I
gonna
don't
go
buy it
somewhere.
either.
Yeah, not happening in my opinion. And I also feel like Amelia and Owen not going anywhere.
No, I agree with that too.
They've just been stalled for
They've
too
just
long.
let that lay for like. Have they even addressed that once this season?
They've addressed it like one or two times, but he's having all these issues and he's not talking to her about it.
They're
so.
not doing anything with that for sure.
But I love the blossoming friendships, though. That was
Yes.
fun about this episode. People
Yes.
that have never hung out.
Yes.
So let us know what you guys think is going to happen next week. And the winter finale is going to be kind of crazy for me. It'll be my last episode for a couple of months because next season I'll be having a baby right at the beginning.
Oh man.
So we'll be back maybe till the end, if at all. We'll have to see how everything goes. But I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic, and we'll see you guys there next week.
Yes.
Keep up with us on the hashtag ABTVGrays, and you can find me, I'm Julie Partin, at all things social media, JuliePartin.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
And you can find me on social media at JF Howard.
Have a fantastic time. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.